Hi, I'm Mark Vernarelli, and welcome to Inside Harford County, a program where we sit down with our community leaders and discuss the issues important to the citizens of Harford County. 1 year ago, County Executive Bob Cassilly was sworn into office after having served as the mayor of Bel Air, a county councilman, and a state senator. And at his inauguration, the new county executive promised his administration would operate with professionalism, integrity, and dedication to public service. He also said he would deliver results. Well, 12 months later, let's check in with the county executive to look back on his first year in office. Sir, welcome back and welcome to the show. We really appreciate you making yourself available on such a regular basis to the citizens of Harford County.
Look, I appreciate it. Thanks very much for hosting me for this. I appreciate being able to communicate with the citizens. It's a critical part of what we're trying to do.
Let's go back a year.
Yeah.
Your first weeks in office have to be some bumpy roads there for a while until you get everything straightened out.
Yeah.
How do you get that professionalism, integrity? Here's how we're going to serve it. How do you get that mindset with your staff when you're just starting out?
So, we took the time and really did our homework, and I ended up appointing a super professional staff, very intelligent group of folks. I'm very proud of all of them. And we began a regular weekly meetings of all the staff and invited more than just the immediate staff in to attend those, and sat down and we met with key leaders throughout the county and even the state. And my deputy and I went and met with every employee. We went through all of our departments, shook hands, said hi, and just get a better understanding of what the work atmosphere was like and who was actually working for us. So we've continued that for the entire year of regular visits out to the employees, and the staff. The weekly and staff meetings have gone very well, and just bringing us together, unifying us as a whole of government effort to really address the critical needs of Harford County citizens.
You've been known to say words to the effect of government always has to do the right thing. What do you mean by that, and where did you come up with that?
Sure. So it's actually on a sign outside my office door, and that's a quote from Mark Twain. It's a part of the quote. To me, it really resonated after more than a year on the campaign trail, and I really heard from a lot of people that they felt like the Good Old Boy Network was too strongly entrenched in Harford County. They wanted to make sure that we were really following the law and listening to people and doing the right thing. So I took Mark Twain's quote and adopted it as a motto. And as I talked to my directors, we're going to follow the law without fear. You just do the right thing. We're focused on good government, putting the interests of the people first, their quality of life first. And it's I live by that, and I'm very proud of the integrity that we've displayed in our first year in office, and we'll continue to do that.
Good government has to, I would think, strike a balance. In Harford County, for example, people are passionate about the open spaces, preserving the rural nature of part of the county, but you also have to have development and growth. How do you balance that? And how do you make sure that both sides can work together to maintain that balance?
Yeah, and certainly you have to have an open door to everybody's interests and listen to everybody. But I certainly you have to grow, but you have to hold the development community to the letter of the law and accountable. And have issued record fines against those who don't uphold the environmental restrictions on how you're supposed to develop. We've stopped work on major projects when they didn't adhere to the standards, and we've taken folks to court. We've got more than a dozen lawsuits right now with folks who we felt didn't want to play by the rules, and we're holding up the letter of the law. So we take it seriously, and then we've also gone after and made changes to the laws that just weren't clear, weren't in the interest of the public.
Talk about changing laws. You made it clear that there were some laws you really wanted to change, and there are some that you're still looking at. Where do you stand on that?
So when we initially came in, one of the biggest challenges was this proliferation of the mega warehouses, the 1 million square foot plus, that just were popping up everywhere. They were the building du jour, and so we felt we need to get a handle on that. So I worked with the council and was able to push through a moratorium on any new warehouse construction until we got a chance to really evaluate where we were, what the needs were, what the laws were. And I this fall introduced legislation that limited warehouse is 250,000 square feet rather than the million square feet that folks are trying to buy, or we're trying to build. And the council approved that, and so I'm very proud of that's now in effect. We also were discouraged by the number of very large apartment buildings being built on the fringe of the development envelope in areas that I didn't have the public services in place to serve those people. So we worked with the council and were able to put through legislation that banned the high and mid-rise apartments in what we call the Business 3 district, and to really push them from being on the fringe of the development envelope to more in the urban centers where the amenities were there to accommodate that level of growth.
It all starts with a buck. You have to have a budget. I'm afraid to even ask about it because I can begin to understand it, but how do you evaluate the budget, and what did you do to bring a common sense approach to not getting into too much debt? Yeah,
so we started working on this year's budget the day after we passed the first budget. And when I first came into office, I started daily meetings with my budget team to better understand what our resources were, what our needs are, and just traveled extensively throughout the county. Anybody who was spending a dime of county money, we sat down with, we inspected, we looked at. So, just like our families live within our means, the government has to live within its means also. And I realize that our families are challenged these days and to live within the money that they have. So I'm determined that we won't increase our taxes. We're no new taxes, and we are meeting our needs. We reduced this year. We didn't raise taxes. We reduced expenditures in a number of critical areas, and reduced a structural deficit by 25%. And we also saved another $10 million through just better procurement procedures and holding the lines on certain expenditures. So I'm proud that we've lived what we said, holding government to the feet to the fire and make us be more efficient with the taxpayers' dollars.
And one area where you had to spend money right away and you knew it coming in, two areas actually. The EMTs, the paramedics, was a shortage of them, and also the 911 center needed some staff. How did you handle that?
So I was somewhat surprised coming in just how serious of a challenge we had with our ambulance service, and our volunteers came to me right off the bat and said, "You've got to take this over. We're folding." So we had to come up with the money and the plan to. We hired 77 new emergency medical technicians and 42 paramedics. We acquired and outfitted 24 new ambulances, new and used ambulances, and we also hired 21 additional folks to work in our 911 center because those folks were overburdened and really, it's tough keeping morale up when people were overworked like that. And we also consolidated our municipal dispatch. We're in the process of this, the municipal dispatch, from being 3 separate dispatches, putting them under the county dispatch. The state law requires that, and that's in process now. So we've really worked hard on the public safety piece, and I'm very pleased with that. We also happy to report that the cameras are coming to the Monpaul Trail. By mid-February, there'll actually be some in place prior to that. But so we've really pushed hard to focus on public safety, fire, EMP, and even the police.
And what about on the police side? What about that end of law enforcement?
Yeah. So look, coming in, we knew that police throughout the region, the prices of law enforcement have gone up. Unfortunately, a lot of the changes in the state and even national trends have made policing a very difficult and in many respects undesirable profession, and that the good police officers, the cost is much higher. If you want to keep a good law enforcement officer, you have to pay for that. So I want to maintain a good force. We increased the deputy salaries by 10%. I funded 10 new deputies positions, 30 new vehicles for our law enforcement, and funded 4 new school resource officers. So we've taken our commitment to law enforcement. We're going to continue that. I take that one very seriously.
Aside from public safety, something else that concerns almost everybody in the county is highways, the conditions of roads that the county is responsible for. What have you done with the Department of Highways?
Yeah. So when we first came into office, we sat down with my highway team and also the state highway team. And I asked the state highway administrator, what are some of the best practices you want to suggest to me? And she said, well, for some of the jurisdictions, we have a quarterly meeting. And I said, you're on. We want a quarterly meeting. So those have been very successful with my full team. We bring the municipalities' traffic teams in and really talk about all the challenges from highway safety, highway capacity, littering, what have everything about highways, and that's been really a great improvement. I'm seriously proud of those improvements with State Highway, and we'll continue those. It's been good stuff.
Land preservation kind of ties in with that whole topic we spoke of earlier, which is growth and development. What about the specific topic of land preservation? What have you done, or what do you hope to do for that?
Well, as I committed myself during the election process, I'm continuing Harford County's long-term legacy of agricultural preservation. And under my administration, we've preserved an additional 1,878 farmland acres, and we also added 170 of acres of just open space on the Oakington and Foster's Run areas, and we preserved 32 additional acres in the Perryman Peninsula. So I'm pretty proud of those improvements, those efforts to preserve not only our farmlands but our open spaces as well.
A couple of shows ago, you said you were very serious about the folks living in the South County, Edgewood, Joppatown areas, that you had great interest in the South County Task Force along Route 40. Update us on that, and what's the next step there?
Sure. Well, when I came in after serving in the Senate for 8 years, I really felt like folks in the Route 40 corridor were a bit discouraged because they'd been talked to death, made too many empty promises made for too long, and so I was committed to really being a man of action and not talk. And so I got my team together, and what I think is commonly referred to as a whole of government approach. We were going to bring everything we had to bear on the Route 40 community to take advantage of their unique opportunities there, but also address their unique concerns on the Route 40 community. So we came up with a detailed plan. My directors and I developed that by looking at the data. It's a data-driven approach, and we've gone to the mat over there. I'm over there every week, and usually a number of times a week along the Route 40 corridor. We've got to improve the quality of life, improve the business climate over there, and really make it work for the residents, but also the whole county. And I'm proud. We start off with some easy marks like just street cleanups and additional lighting and mowing, and we move forward from there to more in-depth things like adopting a livability code that we're working now, a rental code, and looking at additional street works that we're going to do. We work with the private sector to help bring in a grocery store, and so we're really serious about it. We're going to continue those efforts over there.
Talk about bringing in a grocery store. That's important on a smaller scale, larger scale economically. Talk about what you're doing to promote the county. It's that balance. You have to keep both sides in mind. But what's going on as far as promoting and growing the Harford County economy?
Yeah. So I take this as a really big challenge in the world today is growing your job opportunities for your local workforce. I clean slate in my economic development department. Brought in a new development director. Brought in some great folks, both an attorney with business experience, a seasoned veteran of the Aberdeen Proving Ground workforce with defense experience, and just revamped the department. And I've been personally, along with them, engaging with businesses inside and outside of Harford County. Trying to improve conditions for our existing business, but also attracting new businesses. So attract new, retain the old, and with the focus on building a quality jobs for our young folks. That we've got great schools at the high schools and the college, and it's time that our young people are able to come back home and work in good, paying careers and job opportunities. So we're really focused on that. every week I personally meet with just dozens of business owners countywide. Recently, we established a drone center of excellence. Drones are really popular in industry these days and also in the security sectors. And so we working with the folks out at the Harford Airport to establish that as a drone center of excellence. I got a lot of young kids from our local high schools working out there as engineers. It's great to see. We also put in place a business navigator whose job is to cut the red tape. I want you to be a good business person, not a good bureaucratic navigator. So we'll take care of that. So we're working with folks. So it's been successful so far this year. We've created 391 new jobs. We've added 1.3 million square feet of space acquired by incoming businesses, and we've $141 million in capital investment has been added to the county as well. So very pleased with where we're going, and I look forward to the many opportunities that I'm seeing out there.
What about specifically small businesses and minority-owned businesses? You also expressed a commitment to that side of things. How is that going so far?
Yeah. So, when I came on board, I just personally noted that, wow, there's not a lot of minority participation in the contractor field. And that sort of personal observation was confirmed by a disparity study that had been pending before I even came in office. So we sat down with the minority business community, did a roundtable, and sat down and had some great discussions, and also the small business owners, not just smart area, but small business owners. And one thing that we've moving forward with now is we're unbundling our large contracts. If it just an easy one would be like mowing contracts. A small business person could maybe do a smaller contract for mowing and landscaping, but if you bundle all of them together, where you're doing thousands of acres of mowing and landscaping, the contract can only go to a major landscaper. So rather than do that, we've broken our contracts up. I think we have 16 separate contract areas to allow the smaller local folks a chance to bid on some of these mowing and landscaping contracts. And so I think that's a good start. We're going to continue to grow this, but I think it's important that we do provide. From the taxpayers want to they would like to see their money going to the local folks as much as possible. They'd like to see a fair dispersion of the contract opportunities amongst all sectors of society. That's what we're going to do.
You made it clear, and everybody who knows you knows this is true. You're a family man, children, grandchildren, extended family. You want to attract families to Harford County, and you want to help the ones that are here.
Yeah.
What have you done to promote strong families, so to speak?
So, look, I guess at a base level, we didn't raise taxes. That's important. Keep your taxes low. Keep the money in the family's pockets so the family can spend their money, not for us spending money. I'm also promoting home ownership. Particularly among the low income levels. We've dedicated substantial amounts of our federal dollars towards assisting folks with their down payments. There's no one's more committed to a community than people who own the homes in that community. So we want to promote first-time homeowner assistance. We're working with our Veterans Committee. I've appointed the first ever dedicated Veterans Affairs Coordinator for our county, and we just finished up a very successful Thanksgiving food drive to help out our families. And then, entertainment's important to the families and recreation. We did some fun stuff with our people and did a lot of improvements to Annie's Playground, the very popular creative playground over near Falston. That was a rather large investment, but it's really popular throughout the county and really through the region. So we invested heavily in that. We invested in a new playground for the kids out at Friends Park in Forest Hill, a train-themed playing ground, and we've also invested in a new playground in Aberdeen at the Rock Glen Park, a great American-themed playground over there.
On the matter of education, you really had a lot of people were interested in the fact that you wanted to appoint a school board member or several school board members. In fact, you've become the first county executive to do that. Why was that important to you, and how do you think now, 12 months in, that has worked out?
So, under the prior law, we had 6 elected by the popular election and then 3 appointed by the governor. after serving as a senator for 8 years, or less than 8 years, it was really apparent to me that, governors don't know governors have the whole state. They don't have the time or the information to focus on local boards of education members, and the people best suited to appoint local boards members are the counties at the county level. So I work with my fellow senators and delegates, and we changed that so that the 3 appointed members were done by the county executive rather than the governor. Then I got elected as county executive and was able to appoint 3 really good members, Aaron Poynton, Terry Coker, and Lawrence Strauss. All 3 have great experience in managing the large budgets that our Board of Education needs to do. I really focused on just working relationship with the board, with the superintendent of the boards of education. We all share a common interest in the kids. Unfortunately for me, the buck stops with me. So the board's interest is in education. They don't worry about the budget. I do the budget side, but having a good working relationship allows me to help tailor the funds to the board or to the education, and allows them to get a better perspective of what the challenges we face, because there's more than we have to do than just educate the kids. It's expensive, and we're not going to raise taxes, and so I'm just pleased with the way that's working out.
The blueprint for Maryland's future, massive reform plan for education. You opposed it when you were in the state Senate. Yeah. As the Rolling Stones, I think, sang, you can't always get what you want. Right. So now that it has passed, how have you, looking back, how have you dealt with that, and what do you think its positive points have been?
There are some positives in it. Something that I've always been advocating for was increasing opportunities for apprenticeships and for technical education, because not everybody's going to college. So I appreciate that part of the blueprint. The real challenge with it is that it's going to cost well over $32 billion, and that's ultimately very likely to force tax increases statewide. And my approach to that has been to work. What I found is working as part of the big 8 county executives, my fellow county executives, of which I'm the only Republican, noted that we're all in the same boat. All the county executives have the same challenge. We can't afford this. So I've been working with my fellow county executives, and really Harford took a lead in coming up with a series of proposals that, not asking to undo Kerwin, but some changes to make it more affordable, more palatable. And we were able to draft a letter that ultimately became a letter signed by all the big county executives to say, hey, we need some modifications here to make this a little more user-friendly, particularly flexibility in things like mandatory pre-K expenditures and teacher certifications, and just some of the timelines in Kerwin. So I'm proud of the role we played, and I'm confident that we can have some success this year in the General Assembly, which will make the blueprint dollars a little more palatable at the county level.
What's a typical day for you? I know they're all different. No 2 days are the same, but you must be running all the time. What's a typical day like?
Busy. I've got 12 department heads, and they cover everything from, answering 911 calls and ambulances, roads and water, sewer, building permits, land use, parks and recreation, economic development, our seniors, just, substance abuse, the homeless, across the board. So I'm very fortunate to have 12 very talented directors, and I work through and with them on a day-to-day basis. They carry the load. But still, when you got that many directors on such a broad array of areas, you're real busy. It keeps us all pretty busy. And I spend a lot of my time meeting with citizens, business folks throughout the county, prospective business folks throughout the county, and really the other branches of government in the county and outside the county. And building relationships with the state leaders and with my fellow county executives throughout, so we can work as a whole of government. We really ought to work together for the benefit. We're all in this together. We need a strong economic region, a strong educational region, public safety. And so developing those relationships takes a lot of time, working with the other folks and who are out there doing the same thing I'm trying to do.
Short term, what are you looking for in 2024, which is right around the corner?
I want to make sure we attract quality jobs for young folks. Looking for some exciting new possibilities in our parks, get folks more access. We got a lot of parks. We give folks much more access. Strong community involvement in the upcoming comprehensive rezoning process, expanding the many volunteer opportunities in Harford County, and working with our Board of Education to improve the schools with the money that we've got, making sure that we're successful in education. That's important.
Since you have so much free time at the end of your day, I'll have to ask this question. How can people get a hold of you? What's the best way for the citizens to contact you or your office?
Yeah, so I'm hoping you'll put that on the screen because I'm bad on my email address. But, email, call my office. Number's 410-638-3350. Contact us by email. Love to hear from people. We get back to everybody. We respond. And some of them we actually sit down and meet with. I'll meet with folks quite frequently, so look forward to hearing from people.
Well, thank you so much for being here again. We really appreciate the fact that you've joined us again, sir, and the best of luck to you for the holiday season coming up for you and your family.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for watching Inside Harford County, airing exclusively on Harford TV. Please join us again next month. I'm Mark Vernarelli. Happy holidays to you all.